And we are live, and welcome to another episode of the Qué Pasó podcast, episode 16.
Oh yeah,
We made it.
Sweet 16.
Or 17. I am sorry.
17.
My God, I can't even get my awesome episodes done. Every episode is just as good as the other one. I I'm Ernest.
Eduardo.
I'm Ozzy. How are you?
And we have with us some special guests that we would like to introduce. A couple of them have been in previous episodes, so you may know of them. Some Little Llama and Tyler Preston.
Hi.
And of course,
Our favorite black friend.
our new a new guest that she actually writes in Disidencia's webpage. You should check it out. Xiomara Ramirez.
Hi, how are you?
Fine. How are you?
Good.
Yeah, thank you for joining us, and thanks to all of our awesome guests for joining us. Refugees, migrants, caravans. There are lots of things to talk about tonight.
Yep. And tortillas.
Wow. There is
Oh, yeah.
so many happenings at the moment that everything is a mess. I mean, the caravan is just arriving to the United States, right?
Well,
So
it's barreled against the wall, and I think one woman fell over the wall and landed on rebar.
And died.
Did she die?
I think they
Died?
said she died.
I thought
Uh,
she was still alive. I have to look this up.
but-
Then I didn't.
I mean, how you say, she got impaled, right?
Yeah. No, she was
Oh.
hurt by the looks of it.
Oh, okay.
But they have.
Pale, like Dracula impaled people. She's
No, like
fine.
yeah, like the rebar went through her side, and she is.
I'm not laughing, but okay, I'm laughing, but I don't want to laugh. Like, Jesus Christ, this is a complete mess of everything.
Mm-hmm.
This is being a terrible failure.
Well, it's a failure of multiple things, I think. It's the weakness of of previous U.S. administrations, and including this one. To be honest, I mean, I'm not going to give Trump a free pass on this.
Yeah.
They have not enforced border policies correctly. They've I mean, I understand the Mexican-American border is huge, but you need to maintain this border because we can't just let everyone come in. I mean, it's just not feasible for the United States. I mean, either that. I mean, sorry.
Yeah, and well, what? Not only it's a very big border, one of the biggest, well, not biggest, busiest, crossing stations in any border in the world is right there in the Mexican-American border. I'm talking about the one that we all saw the images. What was happening today in San Isidro crossing point?
Yeah,
Yeah.
basically they were just storming to the other side of the border, and of course the media try to focus on the women and the children, but obviously, according to what we see so far, most of the people that are at the border are actually men. And of course, I also saw footage of them trying to just break through a wooden gate, and some of them also were throwing rocks when they were trying to cross.
Yeah, and they confronted the Mexican police. They sent the riot police to contain them in some points here in Mexico. So, I mean, they try to do again what they did in the Guatemala Mexican border. That they just rushed into the gates through a bridge, but nobody was expecting them to do that back then. Now they were expecting them to do something like that, and I think they've seen that they have as a caravan even they have a weakness, and it's somewhat organized border protection.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't know, but every image I've seen so far about the caravan is just trying to picture them. Oh, look, they're so helpless. But the further you start to look into, this is actually a caravan founded by a group in the U.S. based in Chicago, a Pueblos Sin Fronteras, which in and of itself is funded by George Soros. And I think the part that everyone was like surprised about, and many Mexicans in Tijuana were angry about, was that they were saying that tortillas and frijoles were basically pig food.
You
Yeah,
don't,
they even call the lady beans, I think.
yeah.
But how?
This whole thing. This whole thing is we need. It's not just about borders. I really don't think it's about borders. That thing stopped being about borders like years ago. It's not about borders. It's about the entitlement that certain people feel to be taken in another country. And it's just not me. Look, it started with the Muslim refugees. Okay, look, we get it. They were in war. Okay, now it's moving to happen here. Like, oh, my country is in desperate need, so I need to be taken in another country. And at first it looks like okay, probably, maybe, but then you have people abusing this thing. Like I was just commenting before. I mean, we understand what is happening in Venezuela. Nobody's saying we don't understand. But just being a Venezuelan does not should grant you the status as a refugee. And look what is happening now in politics. For example, like there is now a politician in my country who's persecuted. Well, not persecuted. Who's been prosecuted because of the Odebrecht case, right? And he is demanding asylum in Uruguay. And he does not deserve an asylum now, but because of the laws, yes, he must be taken in until his case gets resolved. But his case could be resolved forever. He's going to be away from justice, could be for a year or so, because Uruguay is in obligation to attend a solicitation of asylum, right? Not to give him the asylum, but attend the solicitation. And look what's happening with Assange, okay, who is it's been there like I don't know how many years, and his case is stuck. It does not progress. It doesn't go forward. He's in limbo. So what we need to discuss here is more like what is exactly the laws about being accepted by another country as a refugee or as a political asylum, because this is what's happening right now. And you have to I think you have to there's certain certain things you need to be accepted as a refugee, because when you are a refugee you mean that you are you cannot be protected in your country, so another country needs to protect you. But if you are a person who comes from, say, Nicaragua or Venezuela or whatever, and you are arriving with certain money, you have education, you have certain skills, you can defend on yourself in this country, right? Then you, of course, you don't need to be protected by the state. You need to be protected only by yourself. Well, it's not the case with this woman, Asia Bibi, who she's been persecuted house by house, right? Because they want to kill their family. She only can just leave everything she has and leave to the nearest country to be rescued. That's not the case.
Right, like basically when it comes down to a refugee versus like a migrant, like basically it comes down to the circumstance. Like it has to be based upon like your race or your religion, etc., etc. Whereas a migrant tends to come to a country because of other different reasons. Like I remember seeing a lot of these interviews of these migrants coming from Honduras and also El Salvador and the rest of the places. And basically they said that they want to get new jobs. And this doesn't sound like any sort of political persecution.
Yeah,
No.
I want to say something about that. Like these people complaining about the quality of the food, it made me wonder, then you're not hungry at all. It means you have food, like you're used to it pretty well. That's why you're complaining. And also, they come with the flags of their own countries, which is like, so you're not running away from anything. You love your country.
Yes.
Yeah, well,
Yeah,
yeah,
that's another thing. Like I saw some migrants that were holding a sign about they hating Trump with
Yeah.
their own flags. And well, if you hate him so much, why do they go to a country to a country where he presides?
Yeah.
yeah. Why? I mean, why you go to the country of a guy who everyone, even every media, basically tells, no, this guy's a racist. He hates migrants. Then why you're going to the U.S.?
Yeah.
Yeah.
If he hates you so much, why are you going there?
No, yeah, it's true, and like why? And if you're so scared of like discrimination, racism, Mexico offered you a rather good deal. I mean, they don't generally offer this kind of deal to anyone else. I mean, they said, listen, we will give you jobs, we'll give you some food, et cetera, et cetera. We'll help you get by. And instead of you having to go to this hateful, bigoted, terrifying place, America, we'll give you we'll give you dignified jobs that won't involve picking fruit, because that's apparently what the Democrats believe we need these Hondurans for. I mean, and it's true though. I mean,
in our toilets.
every
What they
time I
say.
hear it, every Democrat and leftist I hear, they're like, "Well, we need them, you see, because who else is going to pick the vegetables and mow the lawns and take care of your grandmother?"
You're absolutely right. Like that kind of stuff is kind of true because I see that all the time on Twitter. Not to mention when I first heard about this coming on, like basically when I first heard that they were rejecting the food, I just couldn't believe it. I mean, I think they were wanting like what was it, tacos, al vapor or something, and they wanted like didn't want the sandwiches.
Some wanted pizzas even.
Oh yeah,
They want pizza and soda.
Making
the
supper.
pizza and the salad, right.
But we've seen that before. Like, look to Europe. We've seen many videos of the immigrants coming to Europe, throwing out food because it was coming from the Red Cross hands.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I remember that. And well, in this case, I would like to put into perspective the example of the lady that said that the tortillas and beans were food for the pigs.
The pigs.
No, yeah, what he
Eduardo, I know
the reason-
I know that you're angry, man.
Yeah,
I
know. Let me tell you, the reason she told the BBC she wanted to go to the United States was to get a medical treatment for her daughter because he couldn't pay for it in Honduras. Not because it wasn't available in Honduras. No. She couldn't pay in Honduras, so she thinks he can get it for free in the United States.
So you have to pay for it. Well, not you, but Tyler has to pay for it.
Well, no. They
And me,
wouldn't even.
I'm in
They
United
would.
States.
But the
So
thing
you
is
get
that
to-
the
you
the
have
Mex-
to pay.
like these people, if they don't have health insurance, they're screwed. So that only means one other thing. Then there's only one.
There is not healthcare there. I think it must.
No.
it
You
has
have
to
to
be
pay.
something.
You have. They don't. I think the only place that has like government subsidized healthcare is Massachusetts, and a couple other smaller states.
No. I mean Central America, because I know there are Central American countries that have some sort of free healthcare. I mean, we have it, but it's not free. It's how you
It
call it,
doesn't
like
feel-
by the
No.
state. That's what I mean. But I don't know. I mean, they have to have something.
I remember Peruvian healthcare and pharmacies.
It's,
No, that was. But no, listen to me. This is something that the other day I was thinking, and I think I'm actually really very offended by this whole thing, because in the 80s, when we have this terrible economical crisis, and then we have terrorism, and we were not as bad as Venezuela. We were very close, and we got there very quickly. Millions of people from here, 1 million, probably not million, probably 1,000 people here have to escape the country, like literally have to escape the country. Probably Aussie knows how their people, how Chileans see us Peruvians. They, not now, but at first, they feel like thief, like ugly, like dirty, like you eat pigeons, like you only serve to be nannies, and all of these sort of things that they keep. It was not just Chile, it was in Argentina, it was in Mexico, it was in Venezuela as well, Colombia, Brazil. So we didn't go and demand you have to take us in. If you don't demand, you have to like us. I mean, we were escaping pretty much war. I mean, not me, but my people, I mean. So we don't demand anybody any of this. So we just went to this country and tried to survive as much as we could, right? To try to do the best, even under insults, under discrimination, racial discrimination, and all of these things. And now these people who are not in war, they are not suffering the same things that we have to suffer. They were like, you have to feed me with pizza and Coca-Cola because I deserve it. No, I don't deserve shit.
Well, no, they want essentially to be put on a palanquin and carted around and worshipped. I mean, because they are taken pity on, I should say, and given these handouts. And the problem is that the United States and Canada, we enable this. I mean, for to come to Canada, the best way to do it and get asylum is to not go to a border crossing like a legal one. You have to go down the road, climb through a path into Quebec, and as soon as the Royal Canadian Mounted Police stop you, you just throw up your hands and say refugee. And you could be probably the most privileged person in the world. You could probably walk in there with 10 grand in cash and an iPhone and a Nintendo Switch. But they still have to take you in, hold you somewhere secure, and feed you and clothe you and take care of any medical issues you have until you get to see an immigration judge or a tribunal. That can take months. So, these people are hanging out in hotels, and it actually got so bad when the government has changed the name. They're not illegal immigrants; they're irregular migrants, which is so they're not regular migrants. They're just people who are irregulars. It's like a medical condition, almost.
It's almost like a news speech in a sense.
Well, it is news speech though, because you're irregular migrants. You're not illegal. You're just coming in a different way. It's like you're an accidental migrant almost, and you'll see these pictures, and they're all Nigerians. There was this one family, and they had 5 suitcases and big winter jackets, and I'm just like, seriously, you guys are fleeing from where? America? What seriously? America's not that bad. I mean, it's not perfect, and I mean, I wouldn't go to Chicago, but other than that, I mean, there's nothing to flee there.
They're escaping Trump.
Yeah.
Oh God, yes. But this is the thing, and we've had this issue lately where the government here wants to encourage immigration. And what is this? What did I just see?
Basically, Ortez compared the migrants to Jews fleeing the Holocaust.
Ooh,
no. My God, that woman,
no, because
I can only tolerate one cafecita.
That's the one thing I never make a comparison to, because my uncle went over to Germany just after the war with the Canadian Army, and he went through the camps and showed me some rather terrifying pictures. So trust me, Ocasio-Cortez needs to read a history book and Google some pictures.
She's a socialist. She won't.
Yeah, I know. But
He is a communist.
Yeah, and well, she mentioned also the Rwandan genocide. I mean,
these people are not under any danger of genocide. There is no one trying to kill them. That's
MS-13 because they probably pissed somebody off.
And let me tell you something that many people doesn't even know. When it happened, all the Nazi thing, United States had a law that didn't allow the Jews to come in.
Yeah, so
really?
Canada turned away a few too.
The family of Anna Frank that girl pretty famous for the diary and everything. They asked twice to the government of America trying to get into, and twice they say no.
Wow, poor people. But I think she is really irresponsible in comparing these people to the Jews in the Holocaust.
In fact, can I mention something I discovered just recently? So I just found out that my great grandfather was actually a Spanish refugee from the Spanish Civil War. And for me, at least, comparing, first of all, we're comparing a caravan of people who are leaving a country on economical problem, based on that they want. Let's put it that they want to improve their lives because they think everything is going to be better in America. They're not fleeing any war. Nowhere is trying to kill them. They're not religious refugees. I think compare them to the Jews. It's victimization complex at its best, because also, and Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, oh my God, there's no other champagne socialist I know that could make that comparison.
Well, now she's a couch surfing congresswoman.
Yeah.
I just don't know how in the world New York just elected her. It's just amazing.
Did you see what I tweeted when she won? And it said that she couldn't find anywhere to sleep. And I tweeted Bernie Sanders. I was like, hey man, your girl Ocasio-Cortez needs a couch. You got?
Oh, come on. I mean, we can have our disagreements with Bernie, but Bernie is like leagues away from this dumb bitch.
I mean, Bernie's good Uncle Bernie. It's like, I mean, Bernie's like
Bernie?
good old Grandpa Bernie Sanders. Yes, Grandpa Bernie, but not Biden. Biden is creepy Joe Biden.
No. Well, she probably won't be staying in his house.
No,
No. Hashtag me too. Hashtag me too for that one.
Okay, let me tell you. I live in New York, so I know why she won.
You're in red.
New York, yeah. New York is the city of the majority are minorities. That's how she won.
But I think minorities couldn't vote because they didn't have it. I didn't know that minorities had voter ID cards. Apparently, that was a big issue that I kept hearing about. That apparently.
Okay, let me speak about this issue about the ID stuff. Like, I never once in my life had a hard time getting an ID. Like, basically, what I did, I got a job.
Tyler,
and
the first question will be, you as a black man, do you have what it needs to get an ID, or is it expensive?
Are you oppressed?
Do you exist?
No. What I did was I just got a job, and then I got the money to get the ID to get what I want.
But I mean, don't you need ID? Don't you mean, like, in order to get a job, don't you need to get a social security number?
Yes.
So is it? I don't know how much a social security number costs in the United States. I imagine it's not very much.
For illegals, $300, and it's not a joke.
Jesus Christ!
Let me tell you, in the city of New York, the illegal people have access to they call it New York City ID.
And they have to pay $300.
No. That is an official one. If you want a fake one to pretend you're a real citizen, it costs $300.
But I mean, like, nobody is going to look at somebody who looks like his name is definitely Raul Fernandez and be like, "Hello there, John Smith."
No, you know how it works. If you pay taxes, they don't care.
Well, that's true. But back to everything here. The main thing that I have against, these people fleeing from, say, like Honduras and Nicaragua and El Salvador is that they think that they can just wander off and leave their countries to, fight amongst themselves and eventually sort it out. And then they're going to go back if it ever got any better. I mean, or they'll do what some people do. They'll work there for 30 years. They'll save all their money, and then they will go back to home, build a house with a giant fence, and live like and become like the most patriotic immigrant patriotic citizen you could ever see. You know
that we actually here in Chile we have actually paid the return of some Haitian migrants back to Haiti because they wanted to go. It's a very cool story because there were some groups of Haitians who weren't very okay here. Many of them say that the main problem they have was the climate, that they never got along with the climate because or it is too cold or it is too hot, and they didn't cope well with the cold. And so the government started a program of repatriación, como le decían, and some of them have returned to the island. With many now, with the only condition that they can return to Chile in like I don't think it was like 3 to 4 years, like some period of time. Now, some people here were very angry. We're almost saying that we force these migrants basically to go back to their country. No, we didn't. These people wanted so desperately to leave, they were ready to take up the first plane the government sent to them. And it's funny that the difference I take, for example, with a Haitian, a man from Haiti, is that he at least is coming here to work. He comes from a country that has basically nothing to work, and many of them are doing pretty fine right here. And if someone doesn't feels happy about it, then it's okay. I'm okay. If he wants to go, then he is. Then we have to live and go. I'm not okay with someone. For example, let's imagine that some man from Haiti comes and he comes like with Gucci shades and clothes from Versace or something like that, and he says to me, "Oh no, no, no! Look, I come from a very poor nation in the Caribbean." Where? Haiti? And he said, "Oh yes. How? Because you're black?"
Yeah.
Yeah, and well, there in Tijuana, there's also a big Haitian community. They were received with open arms. I mean, Tijuana must be one of the most tolerant cities in Mexico, since most of their population is from somewhere outside the city. But I mean, people there appreciate the Haitians because, well, after the earthquake, they escaped to where they could. Some ended up there to cross to the United States. They weren't allowed, and well, they stayed there, look for a work, and they have been thriving. They are being really respected there in Tijuana, and
Amazing.
people actually appreciates them. And now that the migrant caravan goes there and rejects their food they were being given, people were pissed. I mean, they managed to piss some of the most tolerant people in Mexico.
They insult the food.
It is an
I think
surprise.
that insulting frijoles from a Mexican must be like spitting in their flag. I don't know, because for me, I think that would be like if someone insults. Well, if you insult our food here, you can die. So
I can confirm what Llama is saying, having spent many a time in Peru, and you don't diss the food. If you do, you end up as Lomo Soldado.
Yeah,
But what I want to say though, is one thing I've noticed about this whole issue, and it is an issue, is that I think a lot of these countries' governments honestly don't mind that they're going through, because they're not, these are not the best and brightest of these Central American societies. They are essentially the people they don't need, the expendables, the burdens on society.
Not the
So
doctors, the professors. No, they're the regular people.
they're not even regular people. They're campesinos. In if you want to look at it from a government perspective, they are the people who contribute least to the society. They don't enrich the politicians or the government, and they don't have, they're not educated. They're generally, day laborers. The government doesn't want them, because the less of these people they have, the less they have to spend on them. So they don't fix the conditions. They kind of just push a little bit and say, listen, hey guys, we care about you, but look over there, that big shiny America. Go over there. Try your luck. You might come back and be rich. And here's the other thing: remittances. They want these people to go over there to America, get jobs, and send money back. And that's a big industry. I mean, So I mean that's the main thing. Like you think the Honduran government gives a shit? They don't. They
It's
don't care.
remittances is one of the main revenues for Mexico.
Exact and yes, and it is. And you see, this is the thing. It provides the governments with substantial amounts of money for zero effort. That's the main reason they want these people to come to America. And that's the only reason, because they want to get all the benefits, none of the expense. And it makes sense, to be honest. I hate because we do it here in Newfoundland. Except we just all work in Alberta and we come back to Newfoundland. But as someone who has who's seen that lifestyle in place, I know what it is, and it's brilliant because it's so profitable. I mean, I know the Philippines, it's a multi-billion-dollar industry.
Yep. Well, there's something that that's something I not like a lot from people here from Mexico crossing illegally to the United States, and it's and which brings me to some other issue. I mean, yes, many people in Mexico have relatives that go there to the United States to work. I mean, everybody can mention that, and goes illegally. Back in the times of the Revolutionary War here in Mexico in the 1910s, my well, what would be the family of my grandpa, not my grandpa per se, her mother and her family escaped to no, his mother, sorry, escaped to the United States because of the war. It's a curious thing because they live there, they settle in, and when the United States entered in World War one of my uncles went to war for the United States, and eventually they made their way back to Mexico. But there are people here from Mexico that go there to not to do an honest job, sometimes to work for the cartels, which is pretty common there, and commit any kind of crime. There's a case here in the International Court of Justice, the Avena case, about Mexicans sentenced to death in the United States. Just recently, that basically the court ordered the United States to review all the cases of people of Mexican nationals sentenced to death. The thing is that the United States, some states, like in this case Texas, said no, pay no attention to the resolution of the court, and just last week executed a guy from my hometown, Aguascalientes. The thing is, he killed his family in a really sadistic way. His name is Roberto Moreno. He was executed last week because, he killed his family, but to marry another woman. And people here in Mexico make some of an uproar about it. I mean, I don't think it's fair to his victims that people here complain about it. If you go to another country and commit a crime, I think you should be punished according to the laws that you just broke. In this case, this guy, what he did, this, according to the laws, deserved the death penalty. I think it's not only okay, necessary to be executed. I mean, he killed his family with a hammer.
He should. I'm glad he's dead.
The world is a better place without him, honestly.
Yep. Speaking about crimes and that, Peru recently passed a pretty nice law that chemically castrates sex offenders. again who committed crimes against kids. So I'm pretty happy with that one. I wish we'd have that here.
I can stand it.
But so go Peru.
Yeah, go Peru.
Yeah, and for example, and
Yay! To be honest, I really don't know much about that law, so I can't comment much.
It was back in May, and I know that because I was in Lima when it passed, and I know that.
Yeah, I know it exists, but I really don't know what's behind, because you know how these laws are often made by feelings, right? Like my feelings.
That's a pretty good law, though. Like, I mean, honestly, that's one law. I mean, based on feelings that I can generally get behind, because I really don't mind castrating perverts chemically.
Yeah.
Although,
Yeah, I mean, well, it's much better than when actually you see people lynching people here for real. Like, people here, especially in the Andes, and those places, like someone is trying to steal a bike, and oh my god.
remember that Canadian up in the Amazonas?
Yeah.
Yeah, that
Got killed for killing a woman, so they kill him.
Yeah, but anyway, though, back to this. Speaking about the migrant, about people claiming refugee status, like Alan Garcia is a terrible example of someone who is abusing the system in place to protect himself.
Yeah, that's what I say. It's like I say, it's an abuse. All of this happening is an abuse of laws, is because it's hurting people who actually need it. Like Sanjay probably need it. I really don't know much about Sanjay, so I really don't know. Cannot comment much. But he's probably one of the people who actually needs to be, taken. And then you have this other girl who I mentioned, Asia Bibi,
Yep.
who actually need
of course,
to be refugees of their countries, or of whatever country, because their life is in real danger. Like this guy, Alan Garcia, he's not in danger. He's just about to get cut off with justice because he was receiving bribery. Now, obviously, that is not gonna be easy for him. He's probably gonna have no freedoms denied, like he cannot leave the country, but that's not being persecuted. That's just having the justice, in you. That's what I meant.
But have you heard what happened with Asia, right? Asia Bibi. United Kingdom has been pushing United States to accept the caravans, but at the same time, they didn't accept Asia Bibi.
yeah, I heard that because of internal security issues, as I recall, they say.
They didn't want to say because the 2% of Pakistan people that we have in here are gonna get mad.
Yeah, I honestly don't care
Yeah,
what
really.
I really wouldn't care what, a couple of really angry Pakistanis in England say, because you see, the United Kingdom is a nation of laws, same with Canada and generally with the United States. You can't just go around assaulting people you don't like.
Yeah.
And so I think that, like, Canada, I'm surprised Canada hasn't let her in. We generally let everyone else who has a refugee reason do it. But for some reason she is untouchable, and we will punish, we will get angry and shake our fist at Saudi Arabia for the Khashoggi thing. But when Asia Bibi comes over and says, like, hey, I kind of need to leave or I'm going to be beheaded by a mob of angry, I'm going to be honest, savages, because that's what these people are.
Angry bearded dudes, basically.
Angry bearded savages. And just got to say, I know a lot of,
Savages.
I know some very good Pakistanis, and these are not them. I got to do that mandatory, not all thing.
No,
But
yes, they obviously not all Muslims. No, I'm saying.
But but like even Canada won't do it. Like we will bring a child killer and put them in a native healing lodge, but we will not bring a woman who is in literal fear of her life to Canada. But we did bring another person who had apparently insulted Islam in Pakistan back a couple of years ago. We brought her family over, but that was under Harper. And for some reason, for all the bad things people say about Steve Harper, He really wasn't too bad on the refugees who really needed help. But that's the past now. Now we just let anyone make a reason.
Why no other countries taking her? I mean, okay, I get it.
Italia says they will take her. Italy.
Yeah, I mean, I can understand that Italy does it, but Spain probably won't. But or France, or well, most of Europe is now Muslim, so. But I mean, it shouldn't really be that complicated to just take
they
care.
can do it. They can do it because right now they are playing that game that we're assuming all of this population from Muslims countries. So if anything happened to her inside our countries, let's say Spain, United Kingdom, France, how are we going to protect the Muslims against the regular population, the natives? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and for example, speaking of Spain, well, it comes to my mind a case that happened not long ago I think in Catalonia, about some migrants raping a woman as stabbing her boyfriend.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the I mean, that's the kind of issue the European countries are, holding back on this Asia Bibi thing. I mean, another so it comes to my mind some other countries that could take her in there in Europe. Speaking of one, could be Poland, but I mean, I don't think Poland would want to receive her also, because they have been, with been pressed to receive a lot of refugees and they haven't received apparently their quota.
And they are not gonna do it, no matter what.
Yeah, and well, Asia Bibi in this case is a person that really needs. Well, she really deserves to be received as an asylum seeker. But going back to some other person in a Latin American embassy from a certain government, Julian Assange. There's also the guy that got him in there in the first place. The president Correa, Rafael Correa, is in the same position as the Peruvian president, looking for political asylum in Europe.
Yeah.
So it's interesting why.
Well, it seems to be the resort of every criminal politician now involved in the Odebrecht scandal or any other scandals. They run away to an embassy and try to play the game, and like I who was that other one who's fled too? The president of Catalonia. He ran away.
Yeah.
Carles Puigdemont.
Puigdemont, Pokemon. I don't know.
I don't even know. He's like okay. He's Catalan John Oliver. That. But anyway, the thing is that he ran away. Correa's gone. Fujimori did it. He stole like $800 million and ran away to Japan, and then ran then ran for the diet, ran for their national diet, and then went to Chile, who then sent him back to Peru. But so like
we were like, screw you, we don't want you.
No, I
go back, you Chile local.
I think they were just getting him back for that Peru back for that comment that Velasquez said back in the day, like if I want, I can have coffee in Santiago.
No. What happened was what a congressman of the Fujimori party, who is a complete moron. I know who he is. He's a very stupid human being. Told him that it was safe for him to come to Peru. He actually told him, "Don't worry, you can come here and nothing is going to happen to you because we own everything now, so you're gonna be fine." So the guy was the intention coming here to Peru, but instead land in Chile. And as soon as he landed there, he was arrested. So the guy now is like.
Like the funny thing is, oh sorry.
No, I mean the guy is still alive, but it was, but I mean it was a very just a bad advice. He should be here technically if he hadn't listened to this guy.
The funny thing actually about that, by the way, and this is related to, of course, migration, is that the fellow who spearheaded getting Fujimori put in prison has run away to America as well because he's corrupt. Alejandro Toledo.
Yeah,
well,
exactly. Yeah, his escape in America too, and it's kind of funny because my former president, Ollanta Humala, he's a leftist. He's actually a centrist, I think, but he's more leftist, and he was accused of a lot of stuff, and it was Alan Garcia who told him that he's obviously going to escape. He's going to escape to France. He started to look a lot of conspiracy theories about how he was going to escape. But when the time came, he didn't escape. He remained here in Peru with his wife, and they both were in jail for 8 months. And apparently, there's still nothing has been proved about them. There is actually the ones who are under political persecution for being leftists. I'm not saying that they do anything. I mean, probably that they are actually involved in things. But I also think that a lot of things happening to them is because they are leftists. They still didn't run. They remain here and they went to jail and get away from their kids, while Alan Garcia and Keiko were laughing at them. Like, oh, they probably deserve it because justice is. And now you have Keiko Fujimori complaining in Twitter because she has to take baths with a bucket in jail.
I actually enjoy that, considering that I've met Keiko. But anyway, back to the whole crisis. I mean, like, now another serious issue that is going on, of course, is the Bolivarian diaspora, like the Venezuelan migrant crisis.
Yeah.
I mean, there's nearly 1 million Venezuelans in Peru. That's a lot of people to take on, within a rapid amount of time.
No, they are 500,000 so far.
I think I think it's gone up since 500,000. I'm pretty sure it's around 6 or 7. I think it's around
No,
700.
I mean it's the ones who enter the country probably are the number, but they don't stay here. They go to Chile, they go to Brazil, they go to Argentina, or no, but the ones who are actually staying here are about 500,000 so far officially.
Yeah, and I mean, like, look what's happened now. Mind you, they've adapted and they've worked hard. Well, a lot of them, but it's still a destabilizing factor, and I think that we have to be very careful about it. The main thing they have to do is collapse the regime in Caracas. That has to collapse soon. And then we can start the rebuilding, which is going to require a lot of debt forgiveness and Maduro getting the Mussolini treatment.
So you say getting hanged along with her lover?
I don't know if there's a rope strong enough to hold Delcy Rodriguez. But no, anyway, I had to say that. I'm sorry. I don't condone killing anyone, but I really don't like the PSUV. Anyway, the other thing is that speaking, I think we should get back to the main crisis, like the Caravan, because I think that's more of the topic of the day.
Yeah.
I'm really surprised at the lack of a stronger response, because the Americans haven't even done that much involving this either. They've deployed what, 5,500 soldiers, and
I think they pull out. They had to pull it out because a judge found out that the executive order of sending the soldiers into the border was actually against the constitution or something like that.
no,
Yeah.
Sorry, go on, Alberto.
Yeah, there's a law from 1898, I think, that prohibits the military to enforce civil laws, which I mean, it's the rule of law, and so far,
Comatus posse, isn't it?
yeah, Comitis Posse. And they have so far the police have managed to hold back the tide. I mean, in the southern border now in Mexico, they have toughened up, and they are. I think they came to an understanding with the more caravans. They're only letting in people with papers, as it should have been intended in the first place.
And that's the intention of having a border control. It has only
Yeah,
people with papers have to cross by.
yeah, and I mean, many people try to cross. Some people don't. Well, I think I mentioned this quite a few times in the podcast about how people guarding the southern border of Mexico are actually scared of the people who sometimes tries to cross to Mexico,
Mm-hmm.
because sometimes they are, gang members of the MS-13, MS-18, or something like that. So there's dangerous people, and they treat. So the policy down there is shoot first, ask questions later. They treat everybody like really bad, like criminals, and try to get them back to Central America. But I mean, it's the reality of things, and s- and
Eduardo.
what?
Sorry. Finish, and I'll tell you.
Yep, and it's that's something that's a perspective so many people in the world doesn't have or doesn't want to see. I mean, I have a friend of mine who lives in DC. He was like really passionate about telling me about the migrant caravan of being refugees, and even telling me, no, don't call them a caravan, that dehumanizes them. Now, man, this is people. Some are good, some are bad, but mostly they are not refugees.
Well, no, because they're not. I mean, fleeing the fact that your country just sucks is not a good reason for refugee status. I mean, if it was, I would have fled a very long time ago and would probably be hanging out in Plaza San Martin. But no, like but I mean, because not liking, like, saying that your country sucks is a state of mind, really. I mean, it's only how you see it. I mean, if you have a house and somebody isn't trying to kick your door down and kill you on a daily basis, it's not, you're not in any real danger. You have to, go get food, but I mean, that can be solved by working. But like, I'll be honest, like, I don't consider the situation even in El Salvador with the problem with MS-13 to be, as horrifying as that gang is. I don't think that it's that big a problem, because if you're not involved in the gangs or in anything around it, they're generally going to leave you alone. Now, not always, but 9 chances out of 10 they will. And I mean, I know someone, like I've said it on this podcast before. He came to Canada from El Salvador, and he lived during one of the dictatorships. And he's like, look, he said, my country is poor. My country is not that nice a place to live. But he's like, but it wasn't a hellhole or anything like that. He's like, if you keep your head down, mind your business, no one bothers you.
Yeah, I mean, El Salvador, after gaining its independence from Mexico, tried to apply for statehood in the United States.
Oh, God.
Of course, they were rejected.
The Virgin Islands, I think, what was it? There was an island that tried to join Canada, too, in the Caribbean, and we didn't let them.
Really?
Yeah, I think it was the Virgin Islands. I gotta find out.
There's a big movement right now in Puerto Rico because they want to be part of Spain again.
Really?
That's a really
Yeah.
bad idea.
Yes, it is.
Wait, since when?
I want to be part of Spain again.
Really?
Me too.
You
We
guys-
were their best colony, okay? We were.
You just want their
amazing.
you just want their
Second best.
general. You
Best
just want,
colony here.
you just want their generous social
They were
assistance
best.
packages.
I mean, right now, look to our government in Spain. It's a mix of socialists with communists, with independent, and with terrorists. Don't forget the terrorists.
Yeah, I mean, the government in Spain right now is in a really, a really sad state, I think.
It is shameful.
Can the king intervene? Can the king order to behead people? Because otherwise,
No.
well, they don't behead, but
No.
I mean, what's the
Bring
fun
back
of
the Spanish
being a king?
Empire.
You cannot kill people.
No, the king is more about like be sure we don't have a dictator again. Be sure the politicians don't go against the constitution. Things like that.
But if someone goes very, very communist, there will be going against the constitution. So the king can actually behead.
Yeah, he's the
Right.
leader of the army in the end. So if the politicians, like the government goes, like as you are saying, like too much communists going against the constitution, yeah, he can take the army and stop the situation.
But like here is the situation there. Like even Spain, I think, is grappling with its own migrant crisis because they're storming over the borders in Quetta,
Oh
Ceuta
yeah.
and Melilla.
Ceuta, yeah.
No, not just Ceuta
Yeah.
and Melilla. Like they are coming on boats to Canary Islands, to Andalusia, the south, the southern of Spain. Like it's all over. Also coming by the north because the European Union pushed us to open the borders. You know.
And
It's
I,
going to
Because
be a march, right? In
Sorry?
Spain, I think December is going to be a march, right? I read something. It's going to be a big march against all this nonsense. But I remember.
I don't know. I seriously don't know when like they are going to have a march or not. But
I'm gonna try to find it.
like
The only
Spanish-
real kind of political party that I know of in Spain that's pushing against, I guess, the whole entire migrant crisis stuff and other issues is the Vox Party.
and it's
Oh, yes.
growing.
I mean, they already starting to call it a Nazi party, so they're going the right way.
Yeah, I have friends who told me that they are far right, that they are Nazis, and the funny thing is, like, I belong to a party. I belong to a political party that is historically centrist. They neither left or right. So when you compare or what my party says with what Vox says, it's the same. It's the same single thing, and we are not called far right. So I told that my friend, like, do you think that I am far right for saying all these things? Because we are saying exactly the same. And well, he didn't answer anything.
yes, well, I remember another guest of our podcast that talk us about Vox and all that is being happening in Spain. Abriendo Paraguas, that she mysteriously vanished into oblivion. Hello,
Yeah,
whoever
I
you are.
honestly don't know what happened to her, honestly. It's been a long time since I've seen her.
Yeah, but I mean, I think that Vox is overall in its migration policy is really not only congruent but also reasonable. I mean,
think so.
next month there's going to be this big UN conference in Morocco about migration, and already many countries have pulled out of it. The United States say they wouldn't go in the first place. Viktor Orban already pulled out. Austria pulled out too. Poland too.
Baseball.
Slovakia, I think.
Do you see it? Do you see the tweet?
The Habsburg Empire in its entirety has pulled off the deal.
Okay, do you see it or just share it?
It's coming
España viva!
Yeah. That's it. That is the one about some manifestation is gonna be, I don't know.
Oh yes, I see it.
Make the government poem again. I've been reading way too much homage to Catalonia. I'm starting to get sympathetic to the Trotskyists. But No, I think speaking about actually the Hungarians and that, like the European Union is already starting to turn on to them and declare. Like I was reading an article from CBC, which it literally goes. It goes Brexit. Like the title is Brexit is just a sideshow. A bigger danger for the European Union looms from the east, and it's like the Visegrad countries of Hungary, Poland, Czech Republic, and Slovakia all threaten the body politic of the EU.
Really?
And yeah, and I'm just like, good, threaten them. The European
Yeah.
Union, like I hate.
The whole point here is they try to call those countries like people full of hate. To me, they are people full of love. Like love yourself. You know.
Yes. And of course, in the case of
More welcome in those countries. It's funny that I saw this girl saying that Poland is a country ruled by a xenophobic far right party. And then someone comes out and says, hey, but why is it that in most Eastern countries of Europe, Jews feel more safe than in Western countries? And
Yeah, that's true.
yeah, and actually start looking myself because I'm trying to look for a Polish girlfriend because they hate both Nazis and communists. So, well, that's a deal for me. That's a good deal.
And well, another thing that they have not been taking into account from Poland is that they receive a lot of refugees from Ukraine after the war in Donbass started.
Yes, and they have no issue with Ukrainian people.
Yes, and I mean,
I have a friend who's been recently in Donbass, like the past week. He's Serbian and he's very pro-Russian. So he has very interesting perspective from what you see and listen in mainstream media. So to be fair, I really don't know much about what's happened there. So I really cannot give myself an opinion, right? So he's actually going to release a documentary about what he's seeing there. It's like the whole Donbass Russia stuff from the point of view of the Serbians. It looks interesting. When he makes it, I'm gonna link it because it actually sounds like I mean, we really don't have much news from what's happening in that part of the world, except from the filter of fake news, right?
Yes.
I mean, this is true. I mean, maybe he is right, and we are actually not seeing what actually happens there. So I obviously give him the benefit of the doubt on whatever is happening there.
But by the way, speaking of like the EU and that, I actually have I've come up with a comparison to what the European Union is a reincarnation of. And it's the Holy Roman Empire, because it's it's a head of state, like the European Commission, elected by elector states, like all the countries of the EU, with a rubber stamp parliament that has really no power whatsoever, and an entrenched bureaucracy. And I think that the migrant crisis is kind of like the Odebrecht of the European Union, because it's going to help bring down a certain government. I mean, just as Odebrecht is like a cleansing flame of South American corruption, the migrant crisis is going to be, the hammer blow that cracks the European Union.
I really hope so. European Union is the most anti-democratic thing ever. They've been ruling and ruling on top of our countries without even we've never been asked about anything.
Well, you don't have to be asked about anything because the bureaucrats decide for you.
That's the whole point. It's a tyranny. They are deciding every kind of a stupid thing that they want to, and we don't vote for it.
Oh, by the way, you guys, have you heard about Article 13?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
It's just absolutely crazy to think that they want to censor videos just because they use some clips or portions of it in their video to critique or make fun of.
Oh, but Tyler,
Yeah.
do you know about the new law in Spain for internet?
Oh no, what happened?
Oh, they just vote on Tuesday night time while we were sleeping, so we can realize it, that now by law, all the political parties, the government, can have access to all the things that we use on internet, like Facebook, Twitter, the WhatsApp, everything, and record all the information by law.
Oh, it's almost like the America then.
But they do specify. So they go further. They specify like we're doing this to know like what kind of political parties you like better, and even if you delete something, we're gonna keep it.
Wow.
That's creepy.
We always think about a lot of conspiracy theories about why people do these things. And I honestly think that the most obvious explanation is that they know that we don't like them. They know that we don't like them as a government. So they are trying to get away from us and to just remove us and stay in power. That's the only reason.
Guys, back to the migrants. Actually,
Yes.
we should probably look at some tweets about it because that will make everything better. Starting
Have
with
you
Donald
read
Trump.
that Mexico now is kicking out those that try to cross the border today?
I haven't seen that one yet, but I'm looking at the
I would
one
like to
that.
see that. Let me.
Yeah, I'm looking at the one Donald Trump sent this morning at 10 a.m. He goes, it would be very smart, in caps, if Mexico would stop the caravans long before they get to our southern border, or if originating countries would not let them form. It is a way to get certain people out of their country and dump in the U.S. No longer. Dems created this problem. No crossings. And which is true. It is 100% true. Donald Trump is right, and I can hear half of people here in my province screaming at me. I like tear gas.
Yeah, they use tear gas today.
Oh my god! Now, and actually, they're complaining that this breaks international law, but actually doesn't, because if you're using tear gas in your own country, then it's completely okay. But if you're using it, for example, if they were shooting it in Mexico, they were breaking the law, but they're not breaking the law because they are technically in the U.S. But besides, tear gas is the lowest type of anti-riot weapon you can use for pretty much everything. It is like the lowest standard denominator of everything. I mean, they use it here in Chile all the time, and my uni actually stench of tear gas every day.
Because of the Mapuche that was killed.
Yeah, the protests and stuff. Look, I don't know how bad it's going to get, but I tell you,
You know-
go to Playa Ancha and your eyes start watering. And say, "Oh my God, what is this? Oh, the tear gas." Why are you?
Speaking of tear gas, do you know what happened in Argentina?
What happened?
The funniest thing about this is that the G20 meeting is going to be there next week, and they are desperate. They all sides, the left and the right, are desperate because they don't know what they're going to do. No, for those who don't know, what happened is that there was supposed to be the football final of the Libertadores, which is the most important, cup here of clubs, no countries, but the clubs. So you have this River Plate playing against I forgot Boca Juniors, who are the most important probably football clubs of not only Argentina but South America. So they were going to play yesterday, and they were playing in the stadium of River, the Monumental, which is a very beautiful stadium. So the Boca was arriving to the stadium, and some River fans decide to greet them by throwing stones, rocks, bottles, and gas. So they stoned their bus. The gas entered the bus, and there were people very hurt. They were traumatized by what was happening. So the stadium had 66,000 people waiting for the final. There were guests from Europe, from the Confederation of North America. I think they were from Asia. There was the president of the FIFA, the president of the CONMEBOL, and
Everyone.
everybody saw the yeah, it was going to be broadcast all over the world because this is a big deal. So everybody in the world saw the disaster that it was this ordeal. Everybody saw because there's football fans even here in African nation, Oceania, all over the world. So everybody saw the disaster that this whole thing ended up being, and how they have to cancel it, how there were still people rioting about it outside the stadium, robbing stuff, like they were, taking pieces of cars from the streets and running with it. And it was, yeah, and the funniest thing is like the G20 meeting, like this thing about this countries is going to be there in Buenos Aires next week. So you have the left is mad about this, and you have the right also mad because the right is also very progressive. So it's funny because it's probably like the match is not gonna happen again. I'm very sure it's just not gonna be the final, never ever. But it's a disaster, a complete disaster right now.
Yeah, like I'm just looking at some of the pictures and that of the people who are trying to get quote unquote asylum. Um, a few of them have flags, like Honduran flags and Nicaraguan flags and El Salvadorian flags. I mean, if we all went and look back at times past, if you went up to somebody's border with another flag,
Yeah.
they'd shoot you. Because that's generally what you would call an invading
An
army.
invasion. Yeah.
Yeah, because I mean, like, but now it's fine. I'm actually just waiting for somebody to race up, just for the SJW's sake, and plant one of those pride flags on it, like kind of an Iwo Jima kind of moment, just to get the SJWs happy.
And you can be weak in your border. Look to Spain. They attack our border patrols with they call it biological weapons because they use their own. How do you
Flamethrowers.
I don't know how to say, chicos. How do you say caca in English?
Yeah,
Poop.
they throw their poop at
Poop.
people.
Caca's
Yeah,
poop.
and they had disease on it, right? So they knew what they were doing.
Yeah, and also I heard that they attacked some Spanish policemen with a makeshift flamethrower.
Yeah, yeah.
Really?
If that's not an invasion, I don't know what it is an invasion right now.
You know
Well,
what
I
is an
mean,
invasion?
Like you're
Thousands
throwing
of
rocks.
Hondurans coming to the border, basically.
Well, I mean, like you're
How
throwing
come-
rocks. Sorry.
How can a refugee even have a flamethrower? Do you see Asia Bibi with a rifle like
They
walking
bought
or-
it from Elon Musk.
I mean, how can you just do this? It's like if you're escaping a country, how can you just take a weapon? If you have a weapon, then you are not in danger in your country. I mean,
But yeah, so that's the point. Like hitting the borders, they were throwing stones against the border patrols. So you had to respond.
Yeah, and well, another comment about the conference in Morocco next month is that, and one of the things that have been, that will be up to discussion is that many countries have pulled out of the deal, is that they are not distinguishing enough of legal and illegal migration. So it's, I mean, what is going to be the political landscape in 20 years after, if this if the UN starts prosecuting countries that enforce their migratory laws?
I mean, they keep explaining it. They are looking for the citizens of the world, which it means one world country. just one.
No offense, but I wouldn't like to be a citizen of the same country as people from Saudi Arabia, Iran, or France.
Me neither, but that's why they keep pushing us to get mixed. I mean, if you live in Europe, like I've been living in Europe my whole life till I moved here, and we were having all the time commercials on TV telling us to mix with other races.
Well, that's
I don't really have a problem with that. I have my
That's
reasons why.
stupid considering that you Spanish people already mix up with us. I mean,
To me, it's kind of like I should just fall in love with someone, right? Like you shouldn't be
Oh.
pushing me to what?
yeah. It's not the job of the government to actually decide who people marry who.
Yeah, they tried that in the States and it didn't really work very well for a while. Then the whole civil rights movement came out.
telling people who they supposed to have babies with is like the Handmaid's Tale.
Yeah.
It is kind of seriously. We have even like flyers, like they are doing everything on purpose. We have flyers explaining to us how to have sex with the new migrants, right?
What?
Yeah.
What?
How
That's the
can
whole
you
point.
explain that? Like the migrants don't have their genitals like everybody else.
Oh,
Wait, do you think that migrants are like aliens from another planet?
no,
They
you know
have
what's the point? They don't want to admit. They don't want to admit that we have many big difference in our culture. So that's why they have to explain us how to handle some kind of man.
Wow.
That's
racist.
So does it involve like you have to like make some kind of like noise or cover yourself in musk or something? I don't know.
They go more about the submission. Like everything is like the woman is gonna be under, like on the bottom.
And you have to encourage you have to encourage her every time.
Wait a minute. They were telling that you are only gonna have missionary sex with the migrants.
That's the whole point. You know why? I seriously think that's why the NGOs are pushing the Latin Americans to United States. Because the NGOs are in the back of these people with Soros and everything. Because it's hard to push people from Arabian countries to here, but it's easy to push people from South America.
Yeah.
There's something where I was thinking, like, for example, let's say that Italy needs more people, right? More babies or whatever. Wouldn't it have been smarter to import Argentinians?
Oh no.
At the same time, let me tell you something too. They've been driving us crazy for many years that we had to stop having children because we were too many population in the world, right? And now they complain that they have to open the borders because we are like too little people in our countries.
No. Yeah,
Yeah.
they're doing that. They're doing that in Newfoundland, and I actually had a radio interview about this because we're having this huge push about immigration, and they're like, "Well, listen, the birth rate is declining, and this and that." I'm like, "And we need immigrants to increase our population size and have children." I was like, "So are you saying that we're all eunuchs?"
I mean, yeah.
But it's true though. They make it sound like it's like, listen, you silly white people, you're all barren wombed and you don't have any you don't have any sexual power anymore, and so we need to leave it to the migrants with their strong mighty seed to save the day.
Guys, check Twitter right now. They have a hashtag called abolish borders.
Oh God,
no.
no. Yes.
Oh shit.
Trump 2020, my friends. And actually, you guys need to check my Twitter. I can't, for some reason, it will not let me show it. And just look at my replies and my last reply. It's glorious. And then check the picture associated with it.
Oh my God.
Okay.
From Palestine to Mexico, all the walls have to go.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, right.
God, no, you idiots.
Wait. I just want to. Wait. This is my internet is slow. I want to laugh too. A minute.
Okay, let me see.
Okay, it's crashed. Fuck. Okay, it crashed. Okay, I'm here. What am I supposed to look?
I'm just trying to see if I can screen share.
Yeah, because
Is it can you guys see it?
No.
Oh,
I see nothing.
Damn it! Come on,
this
Google
happens.
Hangouts.
Wait.
Essentially, it's a picture of somebody fleeing over the border, with a Frozen shirt on and like what looks like 3 kids, and
Yeah.
I said, because I'm an asshole. That woman needs refugee status because that shirt is a crime against humanity. So just check my Twitter, you'll see it.
Oh my god. That every time something like this happens on Twitter, I just basically go. No, every time something happens, I go to Twitter and say, "Will there be a hashtag about it? Will there be a hashtag end all borders? Hashtag stop refugees?" Wait. Is that the mayor of Tijuana?
Who, the guy with the mullet?
He has a mustachio and a "Make Tijuana Great Again."
Ah, yeah. No. I mean,
Yeah, that was him. That was him saying that.
it's interesting because as I was telling you, people in Tijuana is one of the most tolerant people in Mexico, and from what was it from Donald Trump's inauguration, January 20 of 2017 to November 2018. They were screaming in the streets, the people from Tijuana, that Donald Trump was right.
Yeah, but
I mean,
You didn't know Mexicans could be racist. I mean, they're people of color.
I like Trump. I like Trump. Okay, just joke aside, I like Trump, but it was very stupid of him what he said about Mexico, because he could have Mexico's allies on this thing. I'm not saying allies like SUW says allies. I'm saying real allies. Like there is a lot of people right now saying like, oh, Mexico now know what it feels like. No, they know what it is like to have very bad immigration. They suffer from a lot of that because all the people who want to get illegally to the United States has to cross through Mexico, and those who cannot make it stay in Mexico and become criminals there. So it's a problem for Mexico too, right? So they understand. So instead of him going to like, oh, but hombres and all the things he say, if he just go and say like, okay, this is a problem and we can actually, we in Mexico work together, he will have much different kind of support by not only by his people but probably by a lot of the north of Mexico. But no, instead he did what he always do, and the rest is history, right? Now he's being called a racist when he's not.
I'm looking at Twitter and I see a sign that is done up by which country has the blue with the white in the middle and the 2 stars? Is that El Salvador?
With the stars is Honduras.
Honduras, yeah. They have a Honduras sign in the back, and in front is a giant sign that says "Trump, we hate you not."
Yeah.
I think they can't spell. So filling out that form when they jump the fence is going to be a bit hard. But I mean, the first thing you don't do when you go over to another country is literally tell the president, "We hate you." This is why I'm not allowed in Venezuela. Well, that and other angry reasons, but yeah.
Screw Maduro.
Well, I hope he did use that to screw himself, literally. But anyway, we all know that story.
Yeah, but how? This is this thing I keep wondering. I mean, look, these people presumably, since they're funded by a leftist organization, Pueblos Unidos, or Pueblos y Fronteras, haven't they been told or bombed by the media that the United States is such a racist, xenophobic, misogynist, transphobic, homophobic place to go, and you're you're pulling this entire group of people to go and live there.
Yeah.
I mean, if someone told me that no, these people there are racist, they're not going to leave you alone, I wouldn't go there. Why am I going to a place that will hate me? You know why? Because they pay well, and that's capitalism for you.
Well, no,
Yeah.
it is. But like I said, starting off, I mean, besides the remittances, it's the thing is that like I find that the left and progressives have a very, I hate to say it, but 1860-ish kind of attitude towards the migrants. I mean, because they literally have this mindset that only, I don't know, Paco can take care of their children and make sure that the hedges are perfectly trimmed. And only they can pick the fruit and do all of that. And this is how they see them. They don't see these people as, small business owners, as university students, as this and that. They see them as cheap, expendable labor, and that's it. They don't care about them.
I mean, they always.
No,
I mean,
man.
every time they for them they're still refugees, even if they are, for example. I bet when these people arrive to the U.S., they will still be calling them refugees. We saw that in Europe. I mean, these people, the Arabs and Africans that arrive there, they're still calling them migrants or refugees.
Yeah.
And it's true. Like even like I think it was the president of the Congress in Peru, Salaverry. He said to like the Venezuelan migrants and refugees that we want you to be here and all this and that. We welcome you. But now he's given them the ability to vote, and they're not even citizens. I think that's correct, isn't it, Lama?
I mean,
Well,
I hear that Sweden is doing it. Sorry.
I think that you can vote here if you live certain time, even if you are not a natural here, but only for certain elections, not for president, but for mayor, for example. Like if you live here legally after certain years, yes, you can vote. So, and it's funny because there was actually a congresswoman who wanted to make many Venezuelans give them the right to vote if their parents were Peruvian. So
Yeah, that's what was her name? Marissa Glave?
no, she's leftist. She doesn't like Venezuelans. It's a humorist party. Luz Salgado. She wanted to.
Yeah. Now I know what you're talking about. Now, Glave is pretty bad though too. Like she's exasperated the problem with Peru because she said that the government of Peru needs to just open the doors and let everyone in because somos what was it? Somos Latinos. We're all the
Stupid
same.
because we don't need much to go to every other country. Like I can go to Chile just with my
want you
ID.
here, Lama.
I don't.
Go away.
I mean, okay, I'm not saying. But seriously, I only need my ID. I don't even need passport. I just need my ID, and I can stay there. And I can go to Brazil, to Argentina, Bolivia, Uruguay, Paraguay, Colombia, Ecuador. What am I missing? Yeah, just Chile, obviously. Just with my ID, and I don't have a passport. Well, I had once years ago, but I don't have it now. So I don't even need my passport to go to these places. The only reason the passport is being demanded now is because the whole Venezuelan thing, but for them, not for me. So I we don't need. How much open you want the borders? Seriously, what else do you want? What else do you want when you don't need nothing? Just literally just show my ID. Like I show my ID when I go to the bank. So it's the same. I just go to another country and then I just go back. That's all it is.
And they used to do that when the Venezuelans first came in. Like, you didn't even need your passport or anything. You just had to have some sort of ID, and you like even your carnet de la patria, and they just let you in. But then it got so bad that even Pedro Kaczynski and Vizcarra was just like, yeah, no, you guys need your passports.
Can I just
Sure.
like update you on something? So apparently, I was watching the news. Apparently, the tear gas wasn't fired by the U.S. It was fired by the Mexican riot police.
Go
Really?
Mexico.
Yeah, we go Mexico. I
Wait a
think.
minute,
Let
though,
me.
wait a minute. If it landed in America, Eduardo, you better start running.
Oh yeah.
It's
Um,
gonna be a
True.
repeat.
Okay, I'll stay live here, so maybe you catch a glimpse of Mexico being carpet bombed by the United States.
No, the
There is.
The new Mexican American War.
That would be a short war. No offense.
Ah, come on.
If you're
And
going to war with them, I just want a wall.
But listen though, listen.
No.
If America declares war on Mexico, who's gonna drive the tanks? It can't be the Americans. And who's going to serve the food? So the Marines are all
The
going to start.
Muslims, obviously. The Muslims, obviously.
Okay,
they want to-
okay, I want to talk about another little detail. Like
Sure.
everybody complains about the reasons of United States, like the way it works here to get the citizenship, right?
Mhm.
I think United States is one of the countries like more easy for that compared to other countries even in Latin America. Like I've been reading that Venezuelan women that ran to Colombia and had babies in Colombia, the babies don't get the citizen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They have a this law that for the babies to be actually eligible to the Colombian citizenship, they need to be either one of the parents Colombian, or they have to have a resident visa in
Okay, that
Colombia.
doesn't happen in United States. If you have a baby in United States, the baby has the citizenship, but also the mother has to stay because it has to stay someone that takes care of the baby.
Yeah, the responsible parent. It's
Yeah, there's
just
the whole
sanguinis.
thing of anchor baby, is how we call it.
That's an issue in
yeah,
Canada
baby.
now. We just had that actually come up because I remember a while back I got into some hot water for saying that I wanted to end just sanguinis, like birthright citizenship, to an extent. And somebody kept telling me that the anchor baby problem was like 30 or 40 people a year in Canada that was doing it. And it turns out there's like 3,000 a year suspected. So there's more people coming over to Canada to give birth, apparently, than the entire population of PEI giving birth. PEI is a part of is an island province. I'm going to try to find it because it is actually pretty hilarious. To have all these idiots who were telling me, you're wrong, there's no problem with birthright tourism, and then there is. And
Yeah, but what happened in Colombia was because for them it's already very. I mean, for what you're reading and for what this girl who's from Colombia, who's Punish Homura, that's her name, and she's a normal human being. She's not a faceless or anything, and she is obviously mad because and with all the right because Venezuelans you need like I said you just really you don't need much to cross the border here in South America, so they simply cross the border and give birth, and by doing that they're already entitled to a lot of free stuff. So Colombia is not a rich country, neither are we or Argentina or Chile or anybody, so it's not like we have bad feelings against Venezuelans.
No, I
Just
know,
like
I know.
can't. I mean, we can't hold anymore.
I agree. That's the whole point. I agree that a country has to find the ways to protect itself.
Yeah, I
to
mean,
find the
it's
There's another thing that maybe you heard this week, what Hillary Clinton said about illegal migration in Europe.
Oh
that
yeah, yes. She said that
should-
to defeat the far right, the Europe has to curb on immigration, and everyone was just like say. And I saw a girl, I think it was Renting Feminist, who said that. Oh, so you're telling now the Jews have to wear like golden stars on their clothes or something?
God.
But
But
no, she's basically saying you want to beat these guys who are using immigration as a political tool. You better start actually doing something about it.
indeed, and I mean, it's a fairly good answer to the problem, but um, they they just can they it's not politically, rentable to pursue a policy like that these days. Well, yes and no, because there are many people that actually don't want to live in an open borders country, but still, it's like it gets you many points if you uh, advocate for open borders and stuff.
Actually, guys, I found the article. Um, According to Statistics Canada, they recorded 313 babies born to women who weren't Canadian residents in 2016, but the number is 3,200. And it's going up every year, according to this researcher. So we're gonna have to talk about this in the future because this is a problem, and a lot of these people say ni hao.
Yeah, it's an awful problem. It's an awful because, for example, here in my country, we like about 5 years ago or a little more, there was a law saying that every citizen born here, Peruvian born here, was immediately signed to having the state-funded healthcare to protect all babies because all babies need to have vaccination and their the checkups when you are born, and we have the money to do so. So I think that's great because there's so many babies born, for example, in indigenous communities that don't have access to. The only thing they have access to is to like this woman who help you to give birth, and they are just abandoned, and you need a lot of medicine like this vitamin K, I think that you need when you're born. I don't remember. So we're doing this for people. Now we are supposed to now also give this to other people who are not us. Like, I mean, there is like an amount of compassion you can have for other people that are not your people.
Yes.
Yeah.
Maybe. I mean, it was a who was the guy that wrote that you can have open borders and a social security system.
Uh,
I don't remember, but I mean, people just want.
Milton Friedman.
Yes, exactly, Milton Friedman.
he is a genius.
Yeah,
No, I have Google.
and these people just want to go there for the handouts.
And the remittances.
Yeah.
But
Well, if they are willing to look for a job. Because
well, I mean, they are going to look for a job. It's just that job is going to be a cash in hand job, and is definitely not going to be sanctioned by ICE. But by the way, speaking of this, like, there's also another system that enables this lunacy to go on, and this is the sanctuary city concept.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, even in New York, police are not allowed to go into schools and find out if the kids are illegal immigrants or not, which I think is kind of stupid because you're not supposed to be there. It's an insult to every legal immigrant. I want to move to Peru, and I know everyone will probably keep saying why, but that's my decision, and I'm sticking to it. But if you go anywhere, you have to follow the rules. And I mean, if you sneak into a country and you think you're going to generally get away with it, I'm sorry. You're probably not. Now, there are some people I know who have had parents who have illegally migrated into the United States and then made the effort to become naturalized citizens. or at least get their residency, and you can kind of make an exception for them because they want to grow and contribute.
I mean, let me tell you something. A few years ago, I think it was in 2011, there was a big protest here in New York because they won, like, I don't remember if it was the governor or who, but want to remove all the illegal people. And the legal people, the American citizens, took the streets to complain about it because in the end, the illegal people does a lot of jobs that the citizens don't want to do. That's a fact. Like when you live in New York City, you want to work in insurance, in Wall Street, things like that. You don't want to do delivery for a pizza place.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
that's true.
and I mean, I don't think, well, being the delivery guy for a pizza place in New York is actually pays you a living wage.
I mean, I
Really?
think them really good because those guys, they work. They work many hours. They work for the minimum wage, and they expose themselves on the bike for like the cars and everything. Also with the snow, with the rain, like it's a hard job.
You're gonna get that money.
I definitely know. I spent a couple of months I spent a year, I should say, working as a security guard, like in a rough city, just driving around to like different places, and it really wasn't worth the money I was getting. Almost got stabbed twice.
Yeah, no. And assistants
police
on
wouldn't
hair
help me.
salons. When I moved to this country, one of my first jobs was as an assistant on a hair salon. Like, you get anything. Like, okay, it's a job, it's fine. But I can tell most of the assistants were illegal, and we were working 12 hours a day, 7 days a week.
Jeez, I know people like I know a few Venezuelans in Ecuador that are working in restaurants, and the owners work them like slaves because they can't afford the Ecuadorian permit, because
Yeah.
the Ecuadorian work permit is ridiculously expensive. It's like $300 or $400 American.
Yeah.
And in Peru it's like 200 sols, not even.
That's $60 pretty much.
So that'd be about 130, 140 sol. It's nothing, and it's really easy to get if you have the right friends. But
No, but you also have to pay taxes. Like you have to pay a
the
lot of
VAT
taxes
tax.
when you are here. When you here are an immigrant living here legally, you have to pay about 30% of your salary in taxes for the first 6 months. So it's no, it's not. I mean, it's not expensive, but you just don't have to pay it all at once. That's
Yeah, but also too, like even when you go to like certain museums, you have to pay more. Like when I went to Real Felipe, everyone else had to pay like 20 sol, and I had to pay 40. There's
Yeah.
literally a sign that says extrañeros, 40 sols.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're assholes. And also they screwed me over because that fort, half of it was closed because they were lazy and didn't want to open.
To be fair, it's also very expensive for me to go to Machu Picchu, even as a local. Like I still have to pay a lot of money. Yeah. So I have to like go there and disguise myself like a girl from Cusco to enter there and pretend that I am actually from the zone, so don't have to pay astronomical fees. No, I think that now it's less better. It was
Well, I mean, it got better until the Canadians started getting naked and doing selfies at Machu Picchu.
Wait,
Yeah.
getting naked?
Yeah, that actually did
Where?
happen. Machu Picchu. There was a Canadians who kept getting naked, and the PNP had to put out a request for people to keep their clothes on at Machu Picchu.
It was Ernest actually.
No, it was not me. I have never been to Cusco, and I have no
Do you
intention.
now? Uh-huh.
Well, listen, if you see a Newfoundland flag and somebody like
he can go there anymore. It's not different.
listen, I'm already banned from one country. I'm not getting banned from another. I'm sorry, okay? I have
What
a
country are you banned from? What?
Venezuela.
You're
I'm
banned
not
for a
allowed.
country?
I'm not allowed in Venezuela.
Oh.
Because I sent
Good riddance.
I know, but I sent Nicolas Maduro a giant red dildo. And I am reminded, and I think that if anyone has some money and a good kind heart, Christmas is coming, and Delcy Rodriguez is lonely. Just letting you guys know, send Delcy a consolador and wish her un feliz Navidad.
No. Now you have to say happy holidays.
Screw that! I'm an Anglican.
Oh yeah.
Happy holidays. It's more inclusive.
Yeah,
Yes.
well, I'm listen.
Yes.
I think
No.
I think that we all are already banned from Venezuela.
Yeah, we all are
Honestly,
now.
because-
We made fun of we've made fun of the bus driver of the revolution. So that's all it is. But anyway, guys, like I said, it is Christmas is coming. Delcy is lonely. Diosdado is lonely. He's only got that mazo. So send him something a little bit nicer, something a little bit more.
Also, the protesters here, the local Antifa in my uni, are also lonely. They don't have themselves because the only thing they do is protest, and they just like hibernate every day under my uni, and then they come like here like, oh, so Mapuche has died. Quick, it's time to revolt against the state.
Look, something that can be offended, and they all just come out.
I mean, although you know that the Mapuche that got killed, actually, when I heard the incident, I was like, oh, okay. I mean, this shit usually happens. But then I started realizing, no. Wait, I'm in a left-leaning college. That means that these guys are gonna get offended by this. I mean, it was pretty. I mean, let's be honest. I mean, it's not that I don't care that someone got killed. The problem is that I don't like the methods that the left uses here to protest because it affects many people like me, people who want to work or study. Just to give you a quick rundown, what happened was that there was in La Araucanía there was a group of guys stealing cars, and they sent forth the Comando Jungla, which are special forces training counter-terrorists in tactics. And they found this guy Camilo Catrillanca on his tractor, and they want his identity because they were during the operative. He said no. Now, sadly, we don't have a recording or what actually the exchange he had with the police, because the policeman who actually shot him destroyed the memory card from his camera after the incident. So, but what was said according to testimony was that he moved back his tractor. He went back where he came. The police shoot at the air, like a warning shot, say that he had to stop the tractor and surrender himself. They later shoot the tractor. They said no. And then one of them shoot him in the head, killing him in an instant. And this already has stirred the flames of hatred between the Mapuches and the people in Araucanía. In fact, I think it was like yesterday, a small group of terrorists actually burned down buildings belonging to a logging company as like in a vendetta against the death of Camilo Catrillanca, which it already makes me afraid because, I mean, the Mapuches were pretty much attacking trucks carrying logs, and then they started attacking churches. And I'm afraid that one day they might be getting Palestinian, like throwing actual Molotov cocktails or rockets at more valuable targets, if I can say that.
Soft targets, universities and things like that.
I mean, it would take time, but they can. But I think that they can get there. Not now, not in like 1 year, but they can get there.
Yeah, I
Definitely.
mean, shining paths are in universities.
Oh
I
yeah,
mean,
they're
I'll
still
tell people,
operating.
everybody, and they do not believe me. And path starts with one single professor in a university, and a lot of kids who start following. So, and it keeps happening because, for example, like I told you, this guy who entered to the Uruguay embassy to ask for refugee, for asylum, a member of his party went there to visit him during a protest, and this guy is like 70 years old, 73 years old. He's old. So he was assaulted when going there, and one of the people who was defending this, it's a professor. It's a professor from a university. So
Yeah, but he's a Sandrista too. I think.
Yeah, I mean, I understand. He was, I can find the tweet, but he was saying like, oh, there is a lot of justification of the person that you don't like, the terrorist. The funniest thing is the APRA. Here's I found it, I think, or let's see. I don't find it. Well, he was mad, like saying, "Oh, I am a professor," and the thing is, like, he said that it was fine if you physically assault a person who could be dangerous. And the funniest thing here is this group, the APRA, is actually a leftist group. Now the president has just gone right winger because he wants money, but the origin of the party is being leftist, and they were persecuted in the 70s from being communists. Despite they weren't communists, they were just leftists, the normal leftists, I mean. So this guy is progressive, obviously, no? So these people don't care about all the things they say. They say that it just means violence is okay. This is all they say when something. Yeah, here I found it. If a citizen kicks a corruption to stop for asking asylum or to stop to help someone who's doing it, I think the citizen has my support. I know you're being educated in the idea that violence makes you a terrorist, but this isn't the truth. This is a teacher. So yeah, you
Oh
know.
my god. Yeah, it's not this bad here, but it's getting there. But guys, I think we've kind of come to the end of this. We've kind of drifted away. We've kind of and we did cover the topic quite well. Now with 10% less silliness.
Yeah.
But
I think we all agree that we are against all the caravans. So that means we all xenophobic, racist, Islamophobic, sexist, misogynistic, heteropatriarchal.
Remember, we cannot be racist against other minorities because we don't have like the power and privilege to do that.
you are
Yeah.
right, and congratulations to me, guys. I am.
But in the end, we're all
soon-
Nazis, so
Well, it's impossible for me now because I have found out and will soon be First Nations. So I'm safe.
Guys, a question: how long you think that we Latinos are going to be kicked off the progressive stack?
That's actually a very interesting question. I think the moment most Latinxes realize that most Latin Americans don't put up with their shit, then they will remove Latinos from the progressive stack. I mean,
And if
I
Ted
think that in
Cruz
the end-
wins again,
yes, yes.
And
At that
look,
point,
in the United States, Latinos are the minority that votes the most for Republicans. So I think it has already started. Many people is
they're
complaining.
going to treat us. They're gonna treat us the same they treat Asians now. I mean, I
Yeah,
think it was Tariq Nasheed.
Right now,
If-
so far, I've been seeing like people just being surprised at the fact that there were a lot of Mexicans just protesting against the migrants. So that's kind of already starting.
no, well, it
I-
happen. It happens. People here are surprised about it as well. Like I knew someone who was talking to me a few days ago, and they're really progressive. They're like, well, aren't they go, Ernest? You've been down that way, haven't you? I was like, sure.
down that way.
I mean, like they seem to think like I'm going over the wall in Westeros or something. But he goes like, aren't all Latinos like the same though? Don't they have the same like general heritage? I was like, no. I was like, no, and most Latinos don't want other Latinas. there. But guys, I think
Yeah.
though we
We
should
love
wrap this
each
up.
other, but we love each other, but each in our countries. Like I
Yes.
love you guys, but stay where you are.
Yes. I love you
Except
too,
me.
Mama, but stay away from the Huascar.
But guys,
Yeah.
we
So-
should wrap it up here before we get too far in. It's
Yeah.
been a great conversation again. Hopefully, I think next week we are going to be doing a political stream on either Peru or another fun place in Latin America. So we definitely got to have Lama on for that. So clear your schedule. This is
Please.
me being patriarchal.
Okay.
Giomara,
I'm being forced by the patriarchy.
yes.
Okay,
you are.
guys. Okay, I gotta go to see my son because he needs me. He's doing homework. So thank you for having me. Take care, kids. Bye bye.
Okay. Take care.
Thank
Bye.
Thank you for coming.
Buenas
And-
noches.
Giovanna, thank you very much for coming on.
Yes.
My pleasure. It was wonderful. I love it.
We'll have to get you on again sometime soon.
Okay.
And Tyler, as always, man, it's a pleasure.
Of course, man.
You're the greatest.
Thanks.
Yeah, we love you.
So, in a platonic way,
Yeah.
just gotta,
Yeah.
just gotta
No
make
homo.
sure.
No homo. It's nothing. I have something against gays. Just no homo.
It's platonic. But guys, everyone, thank you all for watching. Our usuals are new. We've actually got more viewers than usual on, which is awesome. Aegon, you won the internet earlier for your comment there. I just have to find that. He goes, caution, do not mess with the migrants. So he won, and everyone else who's always watching, and Palafox, you're always glad to have you in the chat. So with that, guys, and everyone else, please keep watching us. We try our best to turn out good content every week, and we'll see you all next week. Good night.
Bye.
Bye.
Good night.
Do, do, do.